with you guys. My name is Siamanda Chege, and I am the founder of Beberavi Collection. As your professor say, we're based in Kenya. So this is what I wanted to share with you today. I wanted to tell you a little bit about me, about how I came about to create Beberavi, some of the achievements that we've had. I will also tell you a little bit about our people who make the products that we have. Other than Beberavi, a social enterprise, we also have a foundation that goes with it, which runs the orphans. And then this is approving our impact, which Michael will do. Michael is our global communications advisor, also the social. He helps brands like us prove our impact, so he's going to tell us more how we do that. And then we'll continue from there, not in that particular order. As you can tell, I'm a little bit nervous. I'm not a professor. All right, so me, that's me, a long time ago. I used to be a fashion model, so I know it doesn't anymore. But I was born in Kenya, in a village in Kenya, from a tribe called the Maasai people and the Kikuyu people, which is two of the largest tribes in Kenya, or the known tribes in Kenya. Actually, the Maasai people are kind of smaller tribe. They're still like, if you have ever gone to a safari or watched the National Geographic, you'll see the Maasai people, the ones that jump up and down. That's why I'm this height. It's my dad. My mom is from the Kikuyu tribe. There are over 40 tribes in Kenya, and all with different cultures and different tribes. They also have different artisanal practices that they do very well, and you'll see it as we go through the fashion line. So I was born in a family, a very large family. I'm one of 9. My father, when he was about 30 years old, converted to Christianity, which meant that he was not going from the Maasai tribe is a polygamous kind of system, but my dad, having converted to Christianity, then had to be monogamous, had to just be with my mother, which was kind of, because that's what Christianity kind of made him do, and also girls were important as well, so he had 8 girls, and part of Christianity was is important, so they needed to be sent to school. In his tribe, women are just born to be wives and mothers and working in the field. So we thanked my dad for that. I was also able to go to school and come to America, which was also another big deal, like to be able to finish high school in Kenya and then be sent to America instead of being sent to be married. That was about wife or whatever that would have been. And so I was very fortunate to be in this country. I got to go to university here, and then I also ended up working in fashion, so as a fashion model, because I needed to support my family, one of 9. So my father was a minister. Once he converted to Christianity, he decided to be a missionary. My mother never worked. Then he got very sick, and so I had to take over the family and take care of that. So that's how I became a fashion model. And then many years later, thankfully, I was able to do quite well and help my family. My sisters, I have about 5 of my sisters are in this country. They're all doing very well, and the others they're all over the world. They're doing very well. And my father did pass away shortly, but my mother is still here with us. Then when I was done with that, so in about say in the early 2000s, I would go home to Kenya. Now talking about why I started Beberavi. I would go to Kenya while I was a fashion model, and apart from helping my family, my mother, my sisters, I would also see the poverty that was there. There were so many women that were suffering. Early 2000s, HIV epidemic, so many people, like so many women, widows, so many orphans. But I would always try to help. I'll be like, okay, we'll do a food drive, we'll give them some food, we'll give them a little bit of money. But every time I came back to Manhattan, I would always think, okay, so they ate today, right? They ate this week. They ate this a couple of days, a couple of weeks. What happens after that, right? And so I would always have this question, and it would always bother me, right?
right? Also, there was a sadness as you gave the aid, like you gave them, if you gave them money, they would just be like this, and there would be such sadness in them, right? They're happy, but then they're like, okay, sort of their dignity is so low, and you're like, and I think that mother's head, if I were her, I would be thinking, okay, this is good for now. What about tomorrow, right? She probably won't eat that food. She probably won't spend that money for her because she'll want to extend it for as long as she wants, so her children could eat, right? I didn't realize that until I became a mother. So when I was a mom in 2003, I had my first baby, and when I went back to Kenya, it was a whole different way of looking at it. Because now I was that mother thinking, I can get up every day. I don't have to worry about what my child is going to eat. I don't have to worry about if my baby gets to a certain age, if she's going to go to school or not. I'm not going to worry about, I don't have to worry about whether she has, I don't know if I said, like this is good. But now it started to bother me. So I started thinking this aid thing wasn't sustainable. It's giving them a little money to last a week, to last a few weeks. It wasn't, it wasn't enough. We brought some clothes, we'll bring like we'll collect some clothes and some shoes, but still like that wasn't bothering me. So that was my big question. How can I make a difference that's long lasting? What's sustainable, right? How can we help this woman, this mother, who could have been made only by the grace of God? Because these are people, this is my village, this is my community. I just happen to be very happy. I was blessed. I was able to get out of the community. And so I came back to America after a visit with my daughters, and it just bothered me so much, and I needed to do something. And I knew for that whatever solution we would have for these women, it couldn't have anything to do with education, because they're not educated, right? They didn't go to school. So we couldn't think about like computers, there's no computers. Office work, no, there's no office, work. This is the village, right? A lot of these women are mothers, widows, most of them have HIV/AIDS because men who go to multiple cities and come out because there's no one in the villages, who go to multiple cities for weeks or even a month, and then come back with the infected wives with AIDS, HIV, and they have women either are HIV/AIDS positive or even have children who are HIV positive. So two things were happening. Lots of women who are single mothers, lots of babies who don't know mother or father, right? And so I decided, after consulting with my mommy friends over coffee and stuff, I was like, hey, I gotta do something. I can't just go back to Kenya and I was like, I just can't unsee this. I need to do something. So this is a little thing about the people, and this is probably something that is about there's a lot of wars in villages. It's not just my country, but most of this poor countries, most of it is ravaged by war, disease, gender inequality, and at that moment with me there was lots of HIV. And so I came back and I thought we were doing two things. We would go home and we would have a food drive, and when we did a food drive for the orphans, where they'll be like, oh, every child who doesn't have a mother or father, come eat at this place. It's free at this community place. So all the kids would come, they would line up, but in the middle they'll be like, you have a mother, you have a mother, and then we realized these kids are not orphans, but they have no food at home. So we had to start two things. I decided to have an organization, which is a non-for-profit organization for those children who don't have a mother or father, right? And then a social enterprise that is going to help these mothers feed their children, right? Because you can't take those children who have a mother at an orphanage. They're not orphans, right? Like the man that wouldn't pass. So that's how we started the Women Manufacturing Incorporated. Also, since I had been a fashion model, I knew a lot of designers. I had an inside fashion sort of connection. So, and I was a new mother, so I knew how much money we were spending on our children's clothing. And I thought, wait a minute, so I have a buyer, I have an insider, I can take this clothing. The only thing I needed to do is figure out how to make this clothing good enough to be sold in a market here, because then it wasn't going to be bought in Kenya, right? It had to be high-end. It had to leave the country. So it had to be made there, leave the country so that the money can go and support them, right? Because they don't have enough money to buy from themselves. So I started in Nakuru Manufacturing Incorporated, right? And a fashion brand with no fashion background at all in terms of, design or whatever. It's just fashion, and I was like, these women know how to crochet. I knew my people. They were really good with hands. They do handcrafted. I grew up seeing my mother knit sweaters for us, crochet, like beadwork. They were really good at that. And what was I buying at Barney's? What was I buying at, Gap? I was buying clothing. I was buying sweaters. I was buying those things that we could also make, but we could make them even better because we handmade. I don't know if you can tell the difference between a handmade sweater and a machine-made sweater. There's a difference, especially because ours was made with a lot of love and all that stuff. So the whole idea of my vision was to get this cooperative that would give, and that's why it was a social enterprise, that would give a percentage of everyone, and they still do that. Every buyer that buys a Beberavi brand gives whatever it is, they decide. Us, we do 10%. They decide whether it's 5 cents, 10 cents, whatever they decide, every brand gives back to the orphanage. And then the Chege Orphanage, which we were going to raise money, and we do a lot of fundraising, so it's donor-based. So a lot of people was like, oh, we'll give money to the orphanage because it's a 501c3. So when people give money to the orphanage, they get tax deductible, right? But you can't do that in social enterprise. Social enterprise is more investors, more retail. So that was my whole idea. It is still my idea. It hasn't really come to fruition completely, but I'm still working on that. Let me see. So now I was going to show you a little video. Let's see if it works on the product. Is it right there? You see it? Okay. So this is a cute little video of the women. Of the process of Beberavi. So I'm introducing Beberavi to you now. Let's see if it works. It's really